The Larchmont Motel moves closer to demolition.
Harbor Island Beach water boom still going through a shakedown phase.
Another study for Bonnie Breyer.
The sex abuse trial against a former Mamaroneck skating teacher delayed.
And summer fun, an update on activities for kids and grown-ups. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Sven Oehme.
And I'm Roger Norum. Our top story, the Larchmont Motel. It's been a long time sitting vacant at the corner of Post Road and Weaver, but the ball seems to be moving now and gaining some momentum. And on the Larchmont Mamaroneck Community Newsline now, supervisor for the town of Mamaroneck, Caroline Silverstone. Caroline, what's happening with the motel?
We're really excited because everything is now rolling. The legislation was passed in Albany, which we were waiting for, which allows us to set up a housing authority. We will hold a hearing early in September on that issue so that the public can have some input on that. And in the meantime, the architects are working, the construction manager is on board, and everything is moving along very rapidly.
In a nutshell, what does the housing authority, what does that give the town the privilege to do?
Well, the housing authority will actually control the whole construction, the financing of the project. And the town will back the financing of it, but it will be the housing authority's project. So it gives us a little distance from town government.
I see. And who is going to live there when it's finally completed?
The first people with the first crack at living there will be people who live or work currently in the town of Mamaroneck, including both villages. And in that group, the first crack will go toward municipal workers and volunteers.
I see. Okay. Jumping to another subject for a minute here, Bonnie Breyer. That's been back in the news lately with another study being made or being prepared. Could you enlighten us?
Sure. This is a supplemental study to the original draft environmental impact. The supplemental study was done because as a result of the first study, we realized there were some issues that hadn't been sufficiently explored. That exploration is now just about on the concluding phase, and the report will be ready probably right after Labor Day, shortly after, and we'll hold a hearing in October. It'll cover the public golf club question and a couple of other items that came up with people, but I think the public club is the one that people had expressed the most interest about.
The clock is ticking on Bonnie Breyer. When, what sort of deadline is, what's the ultimate deadline for Bonnie Breyer?
Well, a lot of it's in the club's court right now, because if the club could repurchase those outstanding shares from the developer, they could go on being a club forever if they wanted to. And I don't think any of us would complain about that.
But some people have mentioned the date of 1997, or?
Oh, sure. Well, that's the date of the current lease for the club. And yes, that's a very real date. But I know that there are negotiations going on now for them to either renew that lease or to buy out the developer.
There was a rumor that the Gap was going to come into that empty building at Weaver and Post Road that used to be Horry Chevrolet.
That's right. And the NYNEX, the telephone company, took a 10-year lease on that property and is still responsible for that lease, but evidently they have sublet it to the Gap, and yes, we do expect the Gap to move in there.
The sex abuse trial against a former skating teacher in Mamaroneck has been postponed. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Joe Chamberlin has the details.
Stephen M. Savino won a silver medal in the 1976 World Professional Championships in Spain. He used to teach ice skating at the Harvey School in Katona and at the Hummocks Park Ice Rink in Mamaroneck. Savino is 36 years old and lives on Watergate Drive in Summers. He is currently awaiting trial. He is charged with 61 counts counts of sexual abuse of a preteen and 4 teens while teaching in Katona. Included is a first-degree rape charge. Due to an additional charge of endangering the welfare of a child, his trial will not begin until September 2nd. Savino is out of jail on $5,000 bail and faces up to 25 years in prison if convicted of the most serious of the charges.
Thanks, Joe. Just recently, Larchmont Village Police Department took action to convince people to wear a seatbelt while driving. The focus of the police activity was to educate the drivers, not to issue summons. State law requires drivers and their passengers to wear seatbelts. Children under 4 are required to sit in child-restraint seats. It's also noteworthy that airbags, which are nowadays installed in most of the new and more expensive cars as standard equipment, will only give you the most protection when used in conjunction with a seatbelt. So don't forget to buckle up. Roger?
A New Rochelle man is charged with throwing a wrench at an off-duty New York City police officer. The incident reportedly happened in the town of Mamaroneck on Murray Avenue when the off-duty cop, Brian McIver, was walking home about 4:30 in the morning. The alleged incident happened a couple of Sundays back. Police say a man identified as 42-year-old Wilfred Johnson, a New Rochelle, threw a wrench at an officer, McIver, striking him in the chest. There was a chase and Johnson was captured on Maplewood Street. He's been charged with attempted assault, possession of a weapon, possession of a controlled substance, a crack vial, and resisting arrest. Sven?
It's summer again, and here's Jamie Stein with the first installment of our annual series, Kids at Camp.
Welcome to our first edition of Kids at Camp. To my left is Jeffrey Melman, a Mamaroneck resident who goes to Purchase Day Camp in Purchase. So Jeffrey, how old are you?
7.5.
Now do you have a name of your group?
Yes, the name of it is Eels.
The Eels. How many campers do you have?
About 20.
20. Are they all boys?
Yes.
And you take a bus?
Yes, I do.
What time do you get picked up?
Like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Wow, is it a long day?
Yes.
And you get home at what, around 4?
Yeah.
Now what do you guys do there?
Oh, we do some athletics, archery, swimming.
What's your favorite athletic to do?
Blacktop hockey.
What do you like about it?
That you have to use your quick thinking and where to pass and when to dribble.
Oh, and they're teams?
Yeah.
What about baseball? You guys play baseball?
Yeah, we do.
What do you like about that?
Well, mostly when I'm rounding third.
Oh, wow. Anything else you want to say before we end this segment?
No.
No? Okay, well, why don't you wave to your family and friends in this camera. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Jamie Stein.
Thanks, Jamie. The Concerts in the Park series continues this month, but we're not talking about Central Park, rather the concerts planned for Flint Park in Larchmont. The concerts are on every Thursday at 7:15 p.m. The program for July: on July 16, you can swing dance to Rob Freeberg. On July 23rd, listen in on some jazz by Blaze. And on July 30th, dance to square dance music, performed by Foot and Fiddle. Again, all concerts take place on Thursdays at 7:15 p.m. in Flint Park. Unfortunately, we can't go on Thursday evenings. We always put this program together.
Sorry about that, Sven. The $40,000 boom at Stephen Johnson Beach at Harbor Island is still going through some adjustment pains during its testing phase. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Eileen Deutsch spoke with several of the people vitally concerned.
Okay, we're standing here on Harbor Island in Mamaroneck, and we're watching the village, I guess, and people move the boom that was put into the water to help the water, to take care of the bacteria so that the water wouldn't become polluted when we had a ½ an inch of rain. And it's July 8th, and what's happened is that the way it was originally put down, it's the tide, when the tide comes in or goes out, I don't know, we'll try to get more information later, It's making, if you can see, as Hank shoots around, it's making the shape of the boom lose its, it's making the boom lose its shape, and it's taking away swimming places for the people. So what they've decided to do, and what we're going to watch and talk to people about, is they're going to move it. I think also that they're trying to put in heavier anchors. So they're going to make it more like a wider U, more beach area. Here we have the harbor master. Hi. You know, I just said to him, it's such a...
Well, in theory, with 25 anchors spread around, that should put enough hold on it. But you have enough to, on this kind of an anchor, without enough scope, the purpose of the flukes have to go down, so it digs in. But you need a lot of scope for it to dig in properly. We needed more chain than we had, that was one. Now we're replacing with mushroom anchors, which are a different shaped anchor.
Yeah. This is what it looked like?
Here's the walkway here.
Yeah.
The anchor was here, which we call a dead man. It was a 1,000-pound concrete block. We're moving it down toward the water line and over 50 feet. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side, down 25, over 25, and then down also to the...
So it'll be more than if you drew a line that is shaped, it would be more like that.
Right. Then, right? And hopefully the pressure will be equal, so it won't collapse like that.
It won't collapse. This is Al Croach. Everybody knows him. Recreation Department. What's happening here today? You guys are working hard.
Yeah, well, we're going to try to move the boom. We had the gentleman representative from the company that sold us the boom here yesterday, and we're going to try to move it out 50 feet wider and down the beach a little bit further to give us a little bit more area, and hopefully that'll prevent it from collapsing the way it's going now. Right now, the way it's collapsing, it's meant to collapse a little bit on the ongoing and outgoing tides,
yeah.
But not in that general shape that you see there. It's like almost like a pretzel.
So you're going to be giving more room to swim?
There'll be more area in terms of the width of it.
Right.
We'll probably be bringing it in a little bit. You know, not too much, because when you open it up, you're definitely bringing in the deep water area.
That's another anchor he's bringing up, right?
Yeah, yep, he's going to bring up another anchor.
So you're taking all these anchors out.
Right,
and you're
because we've got to move the whole boom over. So the anchors are holding them now. So we're going to have to get Jim Mancusi and my son Scott are going to go in the wetsuits and dive down and get the anchors that we can't get with on the shoreline.
How far away? So every spot that you see a white thing bobbing is an anchor
right.
there.
It's one of these anchors that you've...
all around the whole thing, even behind it too?
No, behind it now, what we did was, the original problem we had, we went out and we put some mushroom anchors down because of the conditions of the bottom of the sand there. It's very mucky and silty.
What's a mushroom anchor?
This is basically a type of claw anchor. Mushroom anchor is it's an iron post with the bottom looks like, if you turned it over, it looked like a mushroom.
Okay, so here I am standing in Harbor Island, and hopefully today is July 8th, and hopefully it'll take a couple of days, and they'll change the boom, and Harbor Island will be back to its old lovable self where everybody can enjoy the swimming. Stay tuned.
Our thanks to Eileen Deutsch for getting us that video, and for Hank Sarasoli being on camera.
Larchmont firefighters are strong and tough guys, but last March they were perhaps a bit too strong and too tough. During a training exercise, they picked up a Volvo, one of those strong and also tough Swedish cars, and moved it out of their way. Apparently the fireman proved to be stronger and tougher than the Volvo. The owner went to court and was finally awarded $454 to cover the damage.
The reconstruction of I-95, currently underway in New Rochelle and Mamaroneck, is one of the largest building sites in Westchester. The rebuilding will probably be finished by the end of November. Finishing early is a mixed blessing for some, while it will be welcomed by many residents along I-95 and by motorists who use the thruway. The people employed on the construction sites will probably be out of work afterwards, and with the slump in commercial real estate and in retailing in Lower Westchester, the more spectacular building projects planned over the last couple of years have been put on the back burner. Sven?
Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News financial facts reporter Randy Norm has some very credit-worthy news.
Have you ever wondered what your credit card report looks like? Would you like to receive a copy without having to pay a $15 or a $20 fee? TRW will now send you a free copy of your credit report once a year. Write to the following address: TRW Consumer Assistance, Post Office Box 2350, Chatsworth, California 91313. You must include the following information: your name, address or addresses for the last 5 years, your social security number, year of birth, and your spouse's first name. Also, include a copy of a utility bill or an other document that links you with your current address. Your report will be mailed to you within 4 to 6 weeks. That's your financial fact, and for Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Randy Norum.
Thanks, Randy. You may not believe the following story, but it's true. A Mamaroneck town resident was sentenced to 5 days in the Westchester County Jail. Because of good behavior, she was released after 4 days. Her offense? Her dog escaped from the garden of her residence. A neighbor reported the loose dog to the police. The woman was charged because she violated a town law which stipulates that all dogs outside of private property have to be on a leash. As it was the second-time offense, she was charged in the town court and after pleading guilty was fined $35. But out of principle, she refused to pay and went to jail instead.
For most people, the fireworks display on the final day of the Fireman's Carnival in Mamaroneck Village was a great conclusion to a week of fun and enjoyment. But for one family, it almost turned into a nightmare and a tragedy. A signal flare, apparently fired from a boat on the water and not part of the official fireworks, hit a two-seater child carriage. Luckily for the family, the mother had just moments before picked up her 2-year-old son from the carriage. The flare hit right where he had been sitting. The 3-year-old daughter was in her seat when the flare hit, but family members were able to pull her from the carriage before she was injured. Though luck was on the side of this family, it is just another example of how dangerous fireworks are. The incident should be a warning to everyone.
For years, David's Island has been on top of the news in our area. Developers, Xanadu Properties Associates, had planned to build 1,750 condominiums on the island. The plan and subsequent versions of it were fought by the Save David's Island for the Citizens last March. Xanadu's plan finally died last March when the New Rochelle City Council did not extend an exclusive development contract. Save David's Island for the Citizens is now holding a fundraiser to celebrate the success in stopping the development plans and to raise the money for the expenses incurred during the 5-year struggle to stop the project. The event is scheduled for July 21 at 6:30 in the evening at Green Tree Country Club. Tickets are $50. If you'd like to come, call 633-8070. Sven?
And more on summer activities, Larchmont Mamaroneck news reporter Janice Arano has a story on summer fun for kids and adults.
There is still summer fun left in Larchmont and Mamaroneck. For nearly the 20th year, the Police Benevolent Association has been taking Larchmont youth on a summer baseball trip to Shea Stadium. This year, the event is a July 22nd game with the New York Mets playing the Los Angeles Dodgers. A bus will leave police headquarters at 11:30 a.m. and the game begins at 1:30 p.m. Any interested youths can sign up at police headquarters and pick up a permission slip for parents to complete. Although transportation and admission to the game is free, children must bring their own money for food and souvenirs. In Mamaroneck, on July 16th, the Mamaroneck Town Police Benevolent Association sponsors a Mets versus Giants game. And still available, permits to use Stephen Johnson Beach at Harbor Island Park in Mamaroneck Village. For more information on the last two items, please call Mamaroneck Town Recreation Office at 381-7865 from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Now, a request to anyone in our viewing audience who may have an extra typewriter that works okay and you'd like to find a nice home for it. This news program uses typewriters, and some weeks having 5 reporters standing in line to use the one typewriter we have slows us down. So if you have an electric or a manual typewriter that is in usable condition, then we'd love to get your donation. Drop it by on a Thursday night after 7 o'clock in the cable TV studio, the Palmer Avenue side of Mamaroneck High School.
If you can't do that but still want to donate it, give us a call at 381-5270.
And that's it for another edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. In case you missed any portion of this area news program, you can see it again any weekday morning, Monday through Saturday at 10 a.m. Also Monday through Friday nights at 7 p.m. and again at midnight.
And this reminder, this news program is an all-volunteer effort. If you want to find out more or see how we do things to get this program on the air, drop by on a Thursday night in the LMC-TV studios. They're on the Palmer Avenue unit of Mamaroneck High School, just up the stairs across from Walter's Hot Dogs. We try to get things started around 7:30.
And thanks for watching Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Roger Norham.
And I'm Sven Oehme. We'll see you again next week on Channel 36. We leave you with some scenes from a children's 4th of July parade. The parade took place in the Dimitri Place area organized by Bernie and Margie Salzberg. We'd like to thank Barry Wepperin for providing us with the video. Murder in the Playhouse shocks Larchmont.
Improvements at a dangerous intersection in Mamaroneck village.
Some changes in our churches.
Is Mamaroneck under the gun?
Topless sunbathers at community beaches.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Chris Williams.
And I'm Sven Oehme. Our top story: the murder in the basement of Larchmont Playhouse on Palmer Avenue sent shockwaves through the community. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Russell Harvey has a report.
The Larchmont Playhouse, 1975 Palmer Avenue, in the village of Larchmont. The playhouse remains closed as police search for clues in the murder of the theater's manager, Arthur Marks, whose body was found in the basement Sunday. Local residents were shocked by the homicide.
I read about it in the newspaper and I was absolutely shocked that this sort of thing would happen in our community.
Can you remember anything like this happening before?
Just an Indian family was killed I guess about 5 years ago, somewhere off Beach Avenue.
Just heard a little bit on the radio that somebody was found dead in the movie theater.
Did it surprise you that something like this could happen in Westchester County, in Larchmont?
Doesn't surprise me, but it's disturbing, certainly. Usually feel safe around here, and now you have to look over your shoulder.
An ongoing investigation into the case is being led by Larchmont Village Police Chief William Keresy and Sergeant Stephen Rubio. That investigation will be aided by members of the Westchester County Public Safety Major Case Squad and the Westchester County DA's office. This is Russell Harvey at the Larchmont Playhouse. And now back to the studio.
Thanks, Russell. When the body of Paul Marks was found, it was fully clothed and he had been stabbed. An undetermined amount of money was missing from the theatre. And here's Sven with a comment.
It seems Larchmont police are doing everything they can to solve the case, and they have also asked for the services of the Westchester County Police. This should alleviate local concerns, especially in light of the Swiss nanny case, that local police are not fully trained to handle such serious crimes. These concerns may be increased because the police are not talking about all the details of the investigations. But we feel that the police deserve our confidence at this juncture. On the other hand, we hope that if the police need more help, they will ask for it.
Mamaroneck Village Police are still trying to solve the murder of David Laux, the former manager of the Mamaroneck Beach and Yacht Club. The club he worked for will honour him on August 9th with an athletic contest called Colour Wars. The participants will compete in about 10 events ranging from volleyball to tennis. Proceeds from the event will go to the Westchester County Olympics. As we reported a few weeks ago, a $10,000 reward has been posted by Laux' mother for any clues.
The cleanup and restoration of a very polluted part of Mamaroneck, the Premium River Marsh, will take place soon. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Joe Chamberlin filed this report.
It's obvious that there is environmental concern in our community. Over the years, what we've become aware of is the eroding of our most vital ecological systems. Take Premium Marsh as a case in point. Premium Marsh is home to and spawning ground of up to 170 species of fish. Also, it is a nursery of sorts for small organisms and vegetation which become food for larger animals. Claudia Ng is the town's environmental coordinator, and upon the recommendation of the Coastal Zone Management Commission, a 3-tiered anti-pollution fence has been put up to protect Premium Marsh. Originally erected in April at a cost of $2,680, which includes periodic inspections, town officials will decide this week if the fence really works or not. In addition, the town has obtained a $619,000 grant to dredge Premium River, which runs through the marsh. Thus, by allowing water to flow more freely, the natural habitat will be made more healthy. This is Joe Chamberlin for Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News.
Thanks, Joe. The Board of Trustees in Mamaroneck Village has reacted to a strong public call for action on the traffic situation at Boston Post Road and Keeler Avenue. It is the intersection where last October Karen Petrello was killed in a tragic traffic incident. Friends of the Petrello family have obtained about 1,000 signatures on a petition asking for traffic lights to be installed at the corner. But because Boston Post Road is under the jurisdiction of the New York State Department of Transportation, the village is restricted in the measures it can take. Therefore, the village board decided to eliminate crosswalks at Keeler and Wagner Avenues and at Frank Avenue and East Boston Post Road. The trustees want to persuade pedestrians to use a new crosswalk at Keeler and Frank. It's not yet clear whether the State Department of Transportation will approve traffic lights at the intersection. Of the two studies which have been prepared on the intersection, one favors the installation of traffic lights, while the other one opposes them.
Among the clergy in our viewing area, an important change is happening right now. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Janice Aronow provides us with the details. Janice?
Reverend Brian O'Connor, the pastor at St. Vito's Church in Mamaroneck for the last 4 years, is resigning at the end of this month. He's taking a 5-month sabbatical to study bereavement and the ethics surrounding euthanasia. The American Institute of Life-Threatening Illnesses is sponsoring the sabbatical. Members of the church community were surprised that he was leaving. On August 1st, the position will be taken over by Reverend James Healy, the president of Archbishop Stepanek High School in White Plains. He's leaving behind a 24-year career in Catholic education. O'Connor is taking a vacation in August before he starts his sabbatical. He does not know what he will do in January. Although Healy does not speak Spanish, he plans to study the language to continue the ministry to members of the Hispanic community and the Spanish language masses.
Thanks, Janice. On Sunday, July 12th, St. John's Episcopal Church in Larchmont welcomed its new interim rector, the Reverend M. S.D. Denkinger, who will temporarily fill the position vacated by the Reverend George Zabriskie. The search for a permanent pastor will continue.
If you saw the annual Firemen's Parade on Larchmont Mamaroneck Community Television, you may have noticed that a number of times the view of the cameras was blocked because of vendors pushing shopping carts filled with mountains of trashy stuff up and down Mamaroneck Avenue. But it's not only that they may be blocking your view, the vendors also interfere with the flow of the parade, and once the parade is over, a lot of garbage is left behind. Most of the garbage is made up from the merchandise of the remains of the goods sold during the parade. the village is considering limiting the number of permits issued to the peddlers to only allow the sale of certain items and to restrict the vendors from moving around.
2 youths recently cruised the streets of our town, found a target and opened fire. Bullets all over the streets of Mamaroneck? No, but one water-soaked resident of Mamaroneck. According to the Gannett Westchester newspapers, a police officer pulled over the car and confiscated the gun. Detective Bart Donado, a Mamaroneck police detective, was quoted as saying, "We also informed their parents of the situation." Donado said the incident was dangerous because it could have caused an accident. So far, the popular toy has not caused the fatal disturbances that have occurred in other parts of the country, where at least one 16-year-old has been shot by someone who is carrying a real gun. Will the guns be outlawed? Not at the moment, at least in Larchmont Village, where it is currently illegal to own anything that propels objects, including pellet guns and slings. Detective Sergeant Frank Styler, Youth Affairs Officer in Larchmont, told the Gannett newspapers that if any incident arises, he would not hesitate to go to the village board and have them outlawed in the community. But for now, there's no need for that measure to be taken.
Larchmont Mamaroneck community news reporter Joyce Sutherland has the latest news on what's going on in the schools of Rye Neck.
Hastings-on-Hudson architectural firm Peter DeSalvi Associates has been selected to evaluate the structural needs of the Rye Neck School District's kindergarten building, elementary school, middle school, and high school, including the gymnasium facilities. School Superintendent Peter Mustache said the 5-month evaluation could conclude that some construction is needed. Depending upon the scope of the repairs, this evaluation could lead to a board referendum for district residents, according to former board president Beatrice Sarasoli. During the school year, renovations and repairs have been discussed, particularly after leaks were discovered in the gymnasium roof, which have since been repaired.
Thanks, Joyce. We have a new member of our team, Julie Auclair. Welcome to our news team, Julie. Julie's story is about some outstanding police officers and firemen in Mamaroneck.
Thanks, Chris. We've just informed you of the unsolved murder cases which have occurred in this area. It is equally important to report the heroic deeds and the cases that are solved every day. A Mamaroneck Village police officer, Gary Allen, was honored Tuesday night at a ceremony at Village Hall. Officer Allen received the Distinguished Service Award, one of the department's highest honors, for his role in the apprehension of 4 armed robbers. After finishing his breakfast at the village luncheonette late last May, Officer Allen spotted a man being assaulted by 2 armed robbers. The bookkeeper of Chatsworth Auction Rooms and Furniture Studios had just returned from the bank with the weekly payroll when the 2 men attacked him. Allen shot out a rear tire of the getaway car, and 3 hours later, 4 robbery suspects had been arrested. Sergeant Alex Ricazzi was honored for excellent police duty for assisting with the arrests. 2 brothers, Jeffrey and William Powell, received the Chief's Heroic Civilian Award for their role in catching 2 of the fleeing robbery suspects. Others honored during the ceremony for excellent police duty were Officers Henry Paul, Scott Frioli, Steve Girardi, Gerard Ferraro, Joseph Comblow, and Andrew Genovese. Honorable Duty Recognition Awards were given to Officers Robert Cordillo, Vito Corelli, Eugene Guadagnolo, Keith McGlinchey, and Joseph Comblow. A Distinguished Service Award was given to Vincent Panici. This past week, another award ceremony was held, honoring William Castellanova, a general foreman for the Village Public Works Department, and his son Billy Jr., a volunteer firefighter. The 2 received mayoral commendation for their heroic efforts. In a fortunate twist of fate, Castellanova and his son missed the entrance ramp onto Interstate 287 in Greenburgh last May. While making a U-turn, the 2 men spotted an apartment fire and raced to the scene. The father and son were able to catch 2-month-old Joanna Alexis with a quilt when she was dropped to safety from the 2nd floor. Using a ladder found behind the complex, Billy Jr. helped rescue others from the burning building. In all, 7 people were injured in the fire.
Thanks, Julie. Plans for new homes in Larchmont? Questions have been raised concerning 2 houses that are to be built in Larchmont. According to the Gannett newspapers, architectural plans for 1-family residences at 65 Woodbine Terrace and 5 Rock Hill Terrace were reviewed recently by the Larchmont Planning Commission. However, before such work can be approved, public hearings must be held. While zoning regulations appear to permit construction at the sites, neighbours do have some concerns. Lighting, space, and damage due to blasting were all mentioned recently, though blasters' insurance would cover any blasting-related damage to property. And the Woodbine Avenue home would need a permit from the State Department of Environmental Conservation because the property is located at a dead-end street at the edge of Premium River Marsh, and construction would involve removal of wetland grass. The public meetings are expected to be scheduled for mid-August. More on this later.
At last, more lights in Larchmont. Larchmont Mamaroneck community news reporter Lynn Goodman has the story.
Larchmont village officials are lighting up the village streets in an effort to fight crime. Lights are being installed all over Larchmont as part of a plan conceived last year after 2 reported rapes in the village. The plan took on more urgency after the recent stabbing of the manager of the Larchmont Theater. Lights are being installed in the business district on Palmer Avenue and on several residential streets, including Hall, Chestnut, and Larchmont Avenues, Shadow Lane, and Harrison Drive. A total of 25 lights are being installed over the next few weeks. 62 lights were installed in November.
Thanks, Lynn. If you are a resident of the Shore Acres section of Mamaroneck, you are facing a detour every time you want to go somewhere beyond Guyan Creek. The South Barry Avenue bridge has been closed for months now because of a rehabilitation project, but where you expected to see construction activity, work was halted for a number of weeks because of a missing permit. Guyan Creek is a navigable waterway, and because of this, the U.S. Coast Guard has to issue a work permit. The Coast Guard gave a verbal go-ahead, but when a local group of residents raised objections, work had to be put on hold. It doesn't make things easier that the bridge is located in Mamaroneck Village and owned by Rye Town, and that the project is administered by Westchester County and financed by the State Department of Transportation.
New York State's highest court ruled last week that a law prohibiting women from baring their breasts in public should be enforced only if the act is lewd or for profit. While no one seems to know what the effect of the court's 6-0 ruling will be, public opinion at Westchester's beaches appears to be unanimous. Members of our news team said, "It's a health risk. Everyone in Europe does it, but no one admitted to being comfortable at the prospect of doing it. Guess it's going to be a cover-up."
Since spring of this year, Mamaroneck Village has an all-Republican board, but a recent court decision brought back memories of the old one, which the Democrats dominated. The Democratic majority at that time decided to abolish the positions of village attorney and prosecutor. The Republican minority sued in state Supreme Court, where the decision by the Democratic majority was overturned without a hearing. The appellate division of state Supreme Court now ruled that a hearing should have taken place before the first court's decision. Today, with 5 Republicans on the 5-person village board, this last court ruling has no practical effect.
If you're a tennis fan, you can look forward to even more fun and games in Flint Park this year, thanks to a Larchmont Board of Trustees early morning meeting that recently gave the go-ahead to improve the park's 6 oldest tennis courts. The $32,000 contract to repair and cushion the courts was awarded to Copeland Coating Company of Brewster, the lower of the 2 bidders, and will cover filling in cracks, providing acrylic layering under the asphalt, and painting the courts. To have repaired all 9 courts would have cost an extra $15,000, which had not been budgeted. 5 companies reviewed the specifications, but only 2 bid on the work. Work is expected to commence August 17 and should take 1 week.
It's a summer musical theater again in our area. Larchmont Mamaroneck community news reporter Jamie Stein tells us about Lama and Grease.
Sandy, Danny, Sunny, Frenchie, Judy, Roger, Marty, Jan, Kanicki, Patty, the Pink Ladies, the Burger Palace guys, and a lot of other kids have been filling their summer nights with familiar songs from Grease, the 16th production of the Larchmont Mamaroneck Summer Musical Theater. These rehearsals are being held each evening during the week in space donated by St. John and Paul Church on Weaver Street. Seen here with the troupe is Alberto Gusman, who has returned as director-choreographer, following his successful production last summer of West Side Story. Musical director Sanford Cohn is at the piano. Dee O'Brien is the customer shown modeling a few sample items. She is well known for her Shakespearean productions and as an English teacher in our school system. You are in for a bright, multicolored visual panorama. The sets will once again be designed by Mark Cheney, who rendered the scenery for West Side Story last summer. Performances will be held at the air-conditioned Emlyn Performing Arts Center in Mamaroneck at 8 o'clock p.m. on the evenings of July 31st, August 1st, 2nd, 6th, 7th, and 8th. The only matinee will be held on Sunday, August 9th at 2:00 p.m. For the matinee, there will be a special discount offered to students under 18 and senior citizens at $10. All other tickets are $12. To get tickets, you can call Marie McIntyre at 698-8582, Joyce Edelstein at 834-8604, or even the Emlyn box office at 698-0098. Come on opening night at 7 when complimentary desserts will be served before the show. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Jamie Stein.
And this wraps up another edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. It's your neighborhood program produced by your neighbors. We're all volunteers here, and we would like to see you to get involved and to join our team. Every Thursday evening, starting at about 7, we meet to work on this news program. If you want to see how we do it and how you can help us and become a member of our team, just come and see us. We're in the Palmer Avenue building of Mamaroneck High School, up the stairs from Walter's Hot Dog Stand.
If you missed parts of this program, you can catch it again Monday through Friday at 10 in the morning, at 7 in the evening, and at midnight. And on Saturday mornings at about 10, you can see the new show. Thanks for watching Larchmont Mamaroneck Community Television. I'm Sven Oehme.
And I'm Chris Williams.
Okay.
Larchmont police are tight-lipped about the movie theater murder investigation, but we'll have the latest.
Garbage recycling starts in a big way soon. There's a lot to learn. We'll tell you all about it.
Police and fire officials crack down on illegal apartments in Mamaroneck Village.
The Battle of Rye Neck is underway, but who's winning? We or the mosquitoes?
And a $500,000 restoration for Mamaroneck's United Methodist Church. Hello and welcome to Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Roger Norham.
And I'm Bill Littauer. Our top story, the Larchmont police say they have solved the brutal murder of Larchmont Playhouse manager Paul Marks July 12th. They say the killer was a 16-year-old youth who had been an intimate acquaintance of the 47-year-old manager and had been hired as a porter in the theater. Both lived in the Park Slope section of Brooklyn. Police say the suspect stole $3,000 from the theater and $500 from Marks before fleeing to Mexico. He was reportedly lured to Las Cruces, New Mexico by undercover investigators and then arrested late Friday by New Mexico police. Marks had been found in the theater basement. His hands and feet had been bound with electrical cord and he was beaten and stabbed to death. Police won't say what led them to the suspect. He was identified as Eduardo Javier Castillo Rojas of Chihuahua, Mexico.
More than 24 Mamaroneck residents were forced out of a four-family house last Wednesday because of a fire. Village officials say the two-story shingle house at 225 Mount Pleasant Avenue was apparently an illegal apartment. Under New York state law, the cellar apartment may be illegal. The village fire inspector is quoted in the Daily Times saying that if the fire had happened at 2 in the morning, there would have been body bags in the aftermath of the fire instead of people walking away. Once village firemen arrived on the scene, the fire in the basement apartment was put out in about 5 minutes. Bill?
And yet another reported illegal apartment in the news. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Joe Chamberlin has details.
Mamaroneck village officials say a former trustee of the village has an illegal apartment in her home on Stewart Avenue. Ex-Democratic trustee Kate Weingarten, who served 2 years on the village board, and her husband were issued an order to remedy a violation and remove the occupant of the apartment. The Daily Times quotes Kate Weingarten as saying the village action was politically motivated. Assistant Village Code Enforcement Officer William Flynn says somebody complained and we just followed up. Stay tuned.
Illegal apartments are the talk of Mamaroneck. The fire inspector for the village, Rich Sudol, is getting tips on the location of some apartments said to be overcrowded. And there have even been some pre-dawn raids with backup by police officers. In one case, a basement apartment had 4 adults and 5 children in it, including infants sleeping in cardboard boxes. Adults were sleeping in sleeping bags on the floor. Mamaroneck has also hired a new code enforcement officer. We hope to have him on a future program. Bill?
Residents of the town of Mamaroneck and the village of Larchmont will have to put out their recyclable garbage every Wednesday starting September 15th. The town and village boards voted last week not to pick up recyclable garbage from back doors. We asked Larchmont Mayor Cheryl Louie, why not?
Cheryl, why not pick up the recyclables at the back door as you do regular garbage? Why do we have to drag it out to the street?
When we embarked upon mandatory recycling, we made a decision consciously on the Joint Sanitation Commission, which is Caroline Silverstone, the town supervisor, and myself, not to increase the cost of our refuse collection process. And to do that, we examined what we could do to implement the mandatory recycling requirement at the same cost or less. And we examined several alternatives: back door, side door, curbside. And all the other alternatives all had budgetary implications that would raise the cost of collection.
In other words, more labor involved, so there would be overtime or something.
Either labor or different equipment. Certain processes, you needed different trucks than what we have, and it's just not an opportune moment to make those kinds of decisions.
Now, talking about processes, do we put everything in the one barrel? Bottles, cans, and what else?
Plastic.
Plastic?
Yes, you do.
And who separates them later? How can they be recycled?
They'll be placed by the residents into a recyclable bag. The bag will be placed at the curb, all tied up. Our sanitation workers will open the bag, empty it into the truck, put the bag in a separate container, which will then later be recycled, and then it will go to the MRF, the Materials Recovery Facility in Yonkers that has been built by the county, and they will have different equipment that will separate out all these items.
Recyclable bag. Do I get that at my local supermarket? Is it a special bag, or do you sell them to me, or what?
We're going to deliver them to each home for the first year to encourage people to recycle. Free. Yes. Well, free.
I realize it's a relative term in our community.
But we will make them available. We are going to give them to everybody so that we can get the process up and running, so that we can all comply and recycle, which is what we all want to do.
And so this all starts on the first Wednesday in September 2nd, actually.
Probably September 15th. The first week is a short week, the second week is a holiday week, and holiday weeks will have a different schedule. So we'll begin in the first full week, which will be September 15th.
One other thing, I understand that we can now put cardboard in with our newspapers when we take the newspaper barrel out on the same day.
Yes, and the instructions to do that will come with all the other materials that will be given to the homeowners. But on Wednesdays, we'll do 2 collections. One will pick up the commingled, as it's called, which will contain your plastic, your glass, and your small metals, and then there'll be a second pickup for newspapers and cardboard and corrugated paper.
Mayor Louie told us that nothing is set in stone. The whole process will be reviewed monthly during the first year to find the most efficient ways to make it all work. Roger?
How can we hold down property taxes? One way is through more efficient use of our resources.
For example, school districts can share some services. We get more on that plan from LMC reporter Julie Auclair.
A program called Shared Services is being developed by school administrators to reach across district lines. Administrators say that this program will save money as well as extend educational opportunities. 2 Rye-Neck children will be able to attend special education classes in Harrison, and 5 Harrison students will attend high school in Rye. Children from Portchester and Rye Brook will attend private and parochial schools as well as special education classes in other districts. They will be transported by a shared busing program. Harrison School Superintendent Ronald D. Valenti said that the compatibility of the sharing program is still in the testing stage. Portchester School Superintendent Anthony J. Napoli believes that the sharing of high-salaried teachers and administrators is also a possibility. However, the superintendent of Rye-Neck School System, Peter J. Mustich, disagrees. He feels that the amount of paperwork is the same in every district. Portchester expects to save $28,000 and Blind Brook $26,000 by sharing bus runs this year. Educational and financial benefits will determine whether administrators will continue with this sharing program.
A former nurse's aide at the Sarah Newman Nursing Home on Palmer Avenue faces a year in prison for slapping an elderly patient. 65-year-old Alicia Pinto was convicted of the misdemeanor in a one-day trial. She will be sentenced September 9th. Pinto was accused of slapping the elderly patient in February of 1990. The charges were brought by the Special State Prosecutor for Medicaid Fraud Control after someone called the Patient Abuse Hotline to report the incident.
A Mamaroneck Village landmark is in bad need of repairs. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News spoke with the rector of the Methodist Church.
For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Julie Auclair, standing at the site of an historic monument, Mamaroneck's United Methodist Church. Standing here with me is Reverend Bill Shillity.
Hi, Julie.
Hi, I understand that the restorations began on the church when the bell fell about a year ago.
Our planning for the restoration campaign started then when we said we need to look to the future and solve problems before they become emergency situations.
Right. Now, where have your restorations gone since?
Well, as part of this process, we hired an engineering firm which did a 10-year evaluation of work needing to be done on the church. And then their first recommendation was to hire an architect. And we found a historic preservation architect who's done an additional conditions survey and has developed 4 stages or phases for us in terms of work that needs to be done on the church to solve a lot of problems.
How long do you believe that all the restorations will take?
We're hoping to do it in 3 to 4 years. A lot of that will depend on fundraising and on the bids that we receive on the work that needs to be accomplished.
Now, I know everyone is curious to know, is there a changing color scheme or...
Part of this process has been to discover the original color scheme of the church. The architect did a paint analysis looking back over about 30 or more levels of paint that have been put on the church, and we are toying with the idea and experimenting with the steeple work of an original color scheme, which would change the colors dramatically. One thing that is definitely going to change is the color of the roof, which has only been white for about 20 years, the roof on the steeple, that is, and that will be a light gray slate that will emulate the original cedar shake after it was weathered for a few years.
However, the church will remain a white as it was.
White or possibly an off-white, which was the original color. And again, we're going to experiment and get some reaction from church members as well as the community, because the paint can always be painted over if we don't like it. But the church originally had a great deal of highlighting colors throughout the years, and there were about 13 or 14 different color schemes. So we hope to do some highlighting of the trim work and some of the symbols on the church with some of this possibly moving back to an original color.
Well, we all look forward to the progress of the restorations.
Thank you.
For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Julie Auclair.
Village of Larchmont has a new building inspector. LMC-TV news reporter Sven Oehme tells us about him.
The village of Larchmont has a new assistant building inspector. His name, Kevin Denton. Residents in Mamaroneck town may know Denton already because he has been assistant building inspector in Mamaroneck for the last 2 years. In Larchmont, Denton will work with Joe Morgan, who is Larchmont's building and plumbing inspector and also the village engineer. Some changes took place on the Traffic Commission enlargement. Lou Rosenthal retired as chairman of the commission. Doris Pat Smith moved up from deputy chairman to chairman. Megan Scarpa was appointed as a new member of the Traffic Commission.
A class reunion is in the works. Mamaroneck High School class of 1972. The reunion is planned for later this summer, so if you are a member of the class of 1972 or know somebody who is, get in touch with Sean Murphy at 914-834-2007.
Who's going to build low-cost housing on Madison Street in the village of Mamaroneck? There's a battle shaping up there. Julie Auclair has that story.
Kingsbridge Homes Incorporated and Washingtonville Housing Alliance, a not-for-profit housing group, are attempting to convince the Zoning Board of Appeals that they each have legal authority to build at 129 Madison Street in Mamaroneck. Kingsbridge plans to construct 30 townhouses on several adjoining properties on Madison Street and at 712 Old White Plains Road. However, the Floor family owns the building located at 129 Madison Street, and their attorney, Rita Gilbert, contends that a contract to develop that property was already drawn up with the Washingtonville Housing Alliance. In fact, the Housing Alliance had been granted approval by the Zoning Board to develop 4 townhouses on the Madison Street property earlier this year. Gilbert stated that no agreement exists between the Floor family and Kingsbridge and that a firm offer had not yet been made on the property. Milton Berner, the attorney for Kingsbridge, has impeded the Alliance's efforts to close on the property. Berner insists that his client has rights because of a signed option with the Floors to purchase the property if the Alliance's deal did not go through by April 3rd. Kingsbridge is actually not the developer. They have been acting on behalf of the National Development Council, a not-for-profit organization that was brought in by Mike Galligan, the village manager, to purchase and develop the property. Tony Fava Jr., president of Kingsbridge, is the construction manager and project supervisor. Attorney for the National Development Council, Carl Whitbeck, and Rita Gilbert, attorney for the Floor family, are negotiating the matter of who has the right to purchase 129 Madison Street. The Kingsbridge housing proposal has been further complicated by the Board of Architectural Review. Board Chairman Clark Nuringer is dissatisfied with the Kingsbridge plan. In a recent memo to the Board of Appeals, he commented that the proposed housing was much too clustered, was located in a flood zone, and that no plans had been made for trash collection or recycling. However, Fava is not discouraged by Nuringer's criticism and believes that it is nothing that cannot be worked out. In a conversation with Fava last Wednesday, he told me that, quote, "This is normal business practice in any complicated real estate development deal. We don't get upset over things like this. It happens all the time." For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Julie Auclair.
Difficult economic times make you want to get rid of some of your debt. For some hints on the subject, Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News financial fact reporter, Randy Norham.
Welcome to what I think we can all call the nervous 90s, where debt is dumb and cash is king. Would you like to live debt-free? Installment debt is declining dramatically, and there are ways for you to take part in this. The first place is your mortgage. If you can try to prepay a little bit extra every month on your principal, it will save you a bundle in the long run. True, interest you would have been paying would be deductible, but you'd also have to pay tax on the earnings outside of your mortgage. So, which is better? Another way is credit cards. Pay off those balances. If you have money in a bank earning 3%, you can boost your net return to 15% by paying off a credit card which is charging you 18%. Just think, if you make the minimum payment on a card charging you 19.8% interest, it'll take you 31 years to pay off a $2,000 balance. If you double your payments, you'll reduce your payoff time to 8 years. Doesn't that make sense? You can then take this money and put it aside for those necessities, such as sending your children to college or retirement. Sound good? That's your financial fact for this week, and for Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Randy Norham.
It's race week in Larchmont, and we get details on the annual event now from Sven Oehme.
We have a fun group in our studio. Larchmont Race Week was on last week, and we have 3 participants in the race week here. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Christian Salvati. I'm president of the Junior Commodore at Larchmont Yacht Club, and I raced lasers this year.
Hi, I'm Frances Clemens, and I'm the fleet captain. I race 420, and I'm skipper.
I'm Lonnie Ann Spellman, and I race 420s also, and I'm her crew.
So what is it like to race in the Larchmont Race Week?
It's a lot of fun.
It's great.
There are lots of boats this year. We had some 420 kids come with.
420 kids. There is a difference between there's a junior race week and a senior race week?
Yes, the juniors, we race on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays since we don't have to work. And the senior race week happened the last 2 weeks, and they race Senior 1 designs.
What were the weather conditions like?
Well, on Monday in the morning there was no wind, but then by 11:30 the wind picked up and we were sent out, and we had 2 races that day. And then Tuesday and Wednesday it was very windy, so.
How many races did you have in total?
7 races, and that's the maximum that they do.
That's the junior?
Yes.
Okay.
And there are no throw-out races, and in all my 6 years of junior racing, that's the most we've ever done.
And this was your last year?
Yeah, this is my last year.
But you still have a couple of years still?
Yeah.
And you're sailing, was that 420? Or
420.
So are you going to stick with that boat? Or? Okay.
I think we have for 2 more years or 3 more years.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
15 disabled children are enjoying a summer of day camp at Flint Park. The children suffering from such disabilities as Down syndrome learn and play right alongside the 250 non-disabled kids. It's the second year of a program sponsored by the Southeast Consortium for Special Services of Mamaroneck. The consortium has its own programs for several hundred youngsters and adults. But the idea of this program is to let the disabled and non-disabled children learn from each other in an integrated setting. A staff member says the non-disabled kids can learn acceptable social behavior in the mixed group. She says they can create problems when they become frustrated. At the same time, the non-disabled kids come to understand that some other children need a different kind of attention. Bill?
2 more Larchmont businesses have been cited for their beautification efforts. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Joyce Sutherland has the story.
Dorothy Hagney of Larchmont's Beautification Committee updated me on their recent business awards. The Hope and Anchor restaurant on Chatsworth Avenue, right next to the Larchmont Railroad Station, received their award for the lovely flowers they planted in front of their building and in window boxes, giving a welcoming feeling to the restaurant. Kay and Marshall Doherty, owners and chefs, have also given the inside a warm ambience. Their name may suggest fish is a specialty. However, the menu includes a good variety. There's chicken, duck, meats, pasta, and salads. The combinations served with the entrees sound absolutely delicious, which I hope to check out someday soon. And oh, the appetizers look to be a culinary adventure. The restaurant is open for lunch and dinner, but is closed on Mondays. As you see, their beautification award is proudly displayed in the entranceway. Another award was presented to Briggs House of Antiques, 2070 Boston Post Road, at the corner of Chatsworth Avenue. This corner has been enhanced by their lovely window displays of various beautiful antiques, and that's what their award is all about. Lorraine Mahoney, the owner, mentioned all the antique furniture is imported in country and formal styles. In addition, many antique prints and decorations, accessories are attractively displayed for sale. It's a very large store, brimming with many items to entice the most discerning customer. Congratulations to both recipients for their awards, so richly deserved.
Mosquitoes in the Rye-Neck area of Mamaroneck.
Mamaroneck residents are itching to know the real story about mosquitoes this year, and we're here at Otter Creek Preserve to tell you all about it.
There always are hot, still nights where it's impossible. But since the mosquito control has been working in the Otter Creek Preserve, there's been a real diminishing of the numbers and the quantity and the quality.
What you do is you come here periodically, you see these pools just behind you, and this is where the mosquitoes breed. What is needed is someone to come down, see what stage of development the mosquito larvae are, and just at a certain stage to treat them with a bacterium called BTI. And once that's done, if it's done effectively, there's no mosquito problem, as there has not been over the last several years.
When do you find that you get bitten the most?
It really depends on the weather. If we have a hot, still, moist spell in June, July, or August, or September, they swarm. But if we have that southwester, the prevailing wind, it's really not too terrible.
But there were reports that the program was got underway a little bit late this year.
Well, that's true. There was the village was late in applying for the permit. The permit took longer than it should have, and the village missed 2 opportunities to treat the marsh, and that's the reason for the problem just in the last week or so.
It isn't as bad as people perceive because of those 1 or 2 nights that are really terrible, or days that are hot and still like we had last week.
At this point, is everything fine, or do the residents have anything to worry about?
Well, as long as the village continues the program as it is planning to do, and I think they're now mobilized because of the reaction of the neighbors, not only in Shore Acres, but in the Rye Neck community as a whole. Things appear to be under control.
They used to be as big as seagulls. Now they're swattable anyway.
Hopefully we've done more than just scratch the surface of this story. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, this is Cecile Bouchardo.
It's the little things that sometimes make things so much better. In this case, a donated typewriter to help get this show on the road. Our thanks go to Bruce Escaffrey.
And that leads us into our weekly reminder that Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News is a volunteer project. We need your input, too, in front or behind the camera.
Join us next Thursday evening about 7:30. We'll tell you all about it. We're in the cable TV studio in the Palmer Avenue building of Mamaroneck High School, just up the stairs from Walters.
And this final reminder, a reminder that you can see this program any day, Monday through Saturday at 10 a.m. in the morning. Also weeknights, Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. and midnight. That's our report for tonight. I'm Roger Norham.
And I'm Bill Littauer. We'll see you next week at the same time. The murder suspect in the Larchmont Playhouse murder returns to face charges.
An embezzlement scandal in the Mamaroneck School District.
Preying on the faithful, robber strikes in area churches.
A wave of vandalism sweeps across Mamaroneck Harbor.
Asbestos becomes an unexpected nightmare at the Larchmont Motel.
And a one-man crusade in Larchmont against those proliferating public posters that are clearly prohibited. And welcome to Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Roger Norham.
And I'm Bill Littauer. Our top story this week, Eduardo Javier Castillo Rojas faces murder charges this week in the brutal slaying of Larchmont theater manager Paul Marks. Castillo Rojas had waived extradition after his arrest in New Mexico. Larchmont Police Chief William Caresy still won't say much about the case or how they lured the 16-year-old suspect back from Mexico to American soil. But we do know he and the 47-year-old Playhouse manager had what police term an intimate relationship. Caresy has said robbery was at least part of the motive. Some $3,500 was taken from Marks and the Playhouse. The investigation hasn't been cheap. Caresy estimates it cost $40,000 to $50,000. The chief said sending a team of 5 investigators to New Mexico cost $4,000 alone. Roger?
A scandal has surfaced in the Mamaroneck School District. For details, here's Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Ed Stein.
This is one of those news stories that make you shake your head. It's about a trusted employee who allegedly has violated that trust. It involves a former Mamaroneck School District secretary who has been accused of stealing $30,000 from the secretary's union. The woman, Darlene Reck of Larchmont, was arrested and charged with third-degree grand larceny. Apparently, the thefts of union dues collected by the Mamaroneck Federation of School Secretaries occurred over the past 2 years. The money has been taken from the union's account at the Chase Manhattan Bank in Larchmont. Reck has been working in the Mamaroneck School District since 1986 and became the union's treasurer in 1989. She resigned her position on June 26, right after she was confronted with the allegations. Reck has been arraigned in village court and released without bail. She is due back in court this week. If convicted, she faces a maximum of 7 years in jail. But in cases like this one, the maximum sentence is rarely handed down.
The town of Mamaroneck board has run into some unexpected problems at the Larchmont motel site. Work is underway to turn the site into low-income housing, but council member Elaine Price says demolition has been held up for a while.
There's more asbestos removal there than we had anticipated. It has to be removed before the demolition can proceed. And there's some on the hot water heating pipes that run up through the roof of the motel. There's some under the roof, under the eaves of the roof. So there is more than expected. We don't assume now that it will be a big cost, but we don't have the...
Is it going to raise the cost of the site, though?
Our construction manager does not think so. But it's a little extra cost, and you know, these extra costs have a way of aggregating.
Do we know how much extra cost?
No, we don't. Our construction manager this afternoon was trying to get some bids and specifications worked out, because under the state regulations we need professional people to remove that, and we need air monitors at the same time to make sure that the air quality remains as high as it should be.
Okay, from the unexpected to the expected. We know we're going to have to recycle our garbage starting actually September 15th. Will be the first collection, I understand. But people seem to be confused about bottles, cans, and plastics. Do they all go in the same container or what?
That's the easy part. Whatever you're going to recycle goes in the same container. Exactly what you recycle, that's going to remain troublesome for some time.
You mean we don't even know now, with the law taking effect September 1st?
You're right. Well, for example, you have codes 1 and 2 on plastic bottles and plastic containers. Some plastic containers don't contain code 1 or 2. So what exactly do you do with those containers? Some of the containers that have the numbers 1 and 2, the covers don't have the corresponding number. And again, if 10% of the load is tainted, the county has a right, and will, in fact, reject that load. If
they reject it, what happens to it?
We send it back to the neighbor.
We're not going to get it back.
We're going to send it right back and say, untainted. No, we have to work that one out. We really do, and real fast, because time is getting short.
The code numbers 1 or 2 are found on the bottom of plastic containers, but not all containers have the code numbers. Obviously, this is going to be a process we work into gradually.
A jewelry salesman from Florida found it was an expensive stop for lunch. Indeed, when he pulled into the Larchmont diner last week, the victim reportedly told police that while he was inside, 2 men broke into the trunk of his car and fled with a case containing $100,000 worth of jewelry. He said a third man drove a getaway car. Bill?
15 boat owners made a horrifying discovery last week. Vandals had boarded their boats in Mamaroneck Harbor and caused the worst crime spree in a decade. LMC-TV News went to Harbor Master Jim Mancusi for a report.
On late Monday evening or early Tuesday morning, 15 boats were vandalized in the East Basin on Mamaroneck Harbor. Here with me today is Jim Mancusi, Harbor Master for Mamaroneck. Jim, could you tell me more specifically exactly what happened last week?
Well, basically we came in on Tuesday morning, pardon me, and we saw covers off, doors kicked in, and originally we went through the boats, had the owners come down. We didn't see a lot missing, but since then we've apprehended 2 out of the 3 people that were doing it, and we found things like binoculars apparently were taken, smaller items that they could sell off that were really not related to boating.
So all of the valuables have been recovered?
That I don't know.
I know that the Harbor Police are not able to patrol the area 24 hours a day. Can you tell me how often they are able to come by?
Well, it's an irregular thing. We try not to set up a regular basis, but probably every other hour they'll be hitting each basin around the docks. It's quite an area. We've got about 9 miles to cover.
Now, is this a 24-hour-a-day thing that they're coming by every other hour?
Pretty much. They will, have to go off at some hours. Then the regular police will take over when the bay constables are off.
And is there such a thing as a boat alarm?
We have some boat owners that do have alarms on their boats that seem to work pretty well. Basically, we try to convince people not to leave any valuables on their boat. It's hard not to, but fishing rods, things like that, will walk.
The dump is a dump and officially contaminated. With details, here's Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Matthew Brown.
Taylor's Lane property in Mamaroneck has been proven to be contaminated. This 7.85-acre former compost site underwent a thorough investigation by environmental consultants Malcolm Perney of White Plains. This is part of a recent report which is expected to be the focus of an August 10th public hearing at Village Hall. Copies of the report are available at Village Hall and at the Mamaroneck Public Library. Air, soil and water samples were found to contain a wide variety of volatile chemicals, some of which have been linked to cancer. These contaminants needed to be cleaned up. Mamaroneck Village is being reimbursed by the state for 75% of the original $1.5 million spent on the investigation. The Gannett quoted village manager Matthew Galligan, saying that the cost of the cleanup will be determined by future use of the site. This will be decided after the public hearing. Residents who live near the site have been sent letters notifying them of the meeting. Reassurance is necessary in order for them to believe that the situation is not dangerous.
That was Matthew Brown's debut here on this program, and this is probably as good a time as any to remind you that we are all volunteers and you may want to join in the fun. We'll give you details later on in this program. Bill?
Some of those empty business buildings are finding new tenants. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Sven Oehme has details.
The last recession, which hit the Northeast harder than most other parts of the country, has also closed some stores in our viewing area. And though the Northeast is lagging behind in the economic recovery, it's good to see that there are businesses being started or relocated. A new flower shop was opened at 1029 West Boston Post Road. That's in front of the Mamaroneck Motel and opposite the high school. Fullerton's Florist and Gift Shop is the name of the store that was opened at the end of July. The store is open 7 days a week. County Volkswagen, also on Boston Post Road, but in Larchmont near the New Rochelle border, has ceased operations. It has been replaced by a Saturn dealership. Saturn is a car produced by General Motors to compete against Japanese car manufacturers, and it has been quite a success. You will see familiar faces around the dealership. The operator of the former Volkswagen dealership is the new general manager of the Saturn dealership. And finally, customer press has moved to 931 East Boston Post Road from Berry Avenue in Mamaroneck. To update you in the future on new businesses in our area, we'd like to know when someone is starting a new business. And we would also like to invite local business groups or associations to supply us with any information regarding local businesses.
The owners of a Mamaroneck Village apartment house handed safety violations following a fire a couple weeks back in a 4-unit building on Mount Pleasant Avenue. Officials say 28 people were forced to evacuate the property from the fire. Pat and Louis Carbone of White Plains were cited, according to the Daily Times, by the village fire inspector, Rich Sudol. The violations listed include having 2 illegal cellar apartments and for not having smoke detectors in the cellars. The Carbones reportedly deny the allegations, saying the cellars are just finished to look nice, but with no one living there. They'll be able to tell it to the judge next week in the village court. Mamaroneck Village has stepped up its campaign in recent weeks looking for and citing cases of overcrowded or illegal apartments. Bill?
A blockbuster of a parking problem around the Blockbuster video store. For more, here's Larchmont Mamaroneck community news reporter Cecile Bouchardo.
If you happen to drive by the Blockbuster video store in Mamaroneck on weekends, don't be surprised to see hordes of illegal parkers on Hommocks Road. Residents of the area complain that Blockbuster customers park in the no standing zone or double park, creating a traffic hazard. Mamaroneck police recently replaced the previous sign with the no standing zone sign, hoping to scare off harried customers. The new sign did not help, and what's more, residents say the police ignore the problem. Mamaroneck Town Police Lieutenant Richard Rivera told the Daily Times in an interview that they are well aware of the illegal parkers and occasionally send officers to ticket. But there's no stopping movie buffs. After all, when it comes down to it, what's more important, a parking ticket or Rush, the hottest new video release? For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Cecile Bouchardo.
Work could begin next spring on the Larchmont Library expansion. The Larchmont Mamaroneck Library Expansion Subcommittee met last week to finally approve a contract. They've been negotiating since May. Once the town and village boards and the library board approve it, the actual building process can begin. The first item on that agenda would be final work on the architectural plans in September. The $1,600,000 expansion would add 6,000 square feet to the facility. The library would be connected to the village center. Bookshelf space would accommodate another 500 volumes a year for the next dozen years, and adult seating space would be doubled to 64 places. The new building could be ready in 1994. The town and village will each put in $400,000 for the expansion. The library committee will raise $800,000 through donations, and they apparently have about $400,000 so far. Roger?
That newly installed boom around a stretch of beach at Harbor Island seems to be doing what it's supposed to be doing. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Chris Williams with the story.
The Mamaroneck beach boom seems to be a big success. With the season almost half over, sales for beach permits have already jumped 66%. Last year, the Recreation Department sold 228 season permits. So far this year, nearly 350 permits have already been sold. The water boom, a pollution screen costing $34,000, was installed in May to fight the pollution that has plagued the beach for a number of years. Although pollution has been reduced, the screen has not been without problems. Early in the season, the force of tides affected its ability to block floating debris, and lifeguards have recently had to remove jellyfish from the enclosure. Still, the consensus seems to be that people are enjoying the beach a little more this year. Permit prices range from $5 for senior citizens, $16.50 for individuals, and $35 for family passes. If you need one, call the Mamaroneck Village Recreation Department at 381-2231.
Area churchgoers ordinarily would not think they would have to concern themselves with anything other than a religious experience when attending services, but such has not been the case recently. Police have received reports of a robber who is praying in church, praying not to God, but preying on unsuspecting worshipers. The thief steals pocketbooks and other personal belongings while the churchgoer leaves the pew to receive Holy Communion at the altar. The latest theft reported last Sunday at Most Holy Trinity Church in Mamaroneck on the Post Road. Other thefts have occurred at St. Augustine's in Larchmont, Resurrection Church in Rye, and St. Gregory's in Harrison. In 3 of the cases, the stolen pocketbooks were returned the next day minus the cash. All the incidents taking place in Roman Catholic churches. The clergy and police are now warning, even though it's a church, you have to be careful and you should keep your pocketbook and valuables near you at all times. Bill?
There's a job open in the Mamaroneck Recreation Department. We get details from Janice Arano.
The Town of Mamaroneck Recreation Department is searching for candidates for the position of Director for the Travel Team Program within the Youth Hockey Program. Applicants must be adults with a minimum of 3 years organized hockey experience. They need to be available August through April. Salary ranges from $1,800 to $2,500 depending on experience. Responsibilities include travel program administration comprising team tryout format, player selection, scheduling, and game supervision. For a detailed job description and application, call 381-7865. August 7th is the deadline.
The Life Center has come up with a new plan to advance the cause of conservation. LIFE stands for Local Involvement for Environment. Joe Chamberlin discussed the project with Executive Director Martha Kaufman.
LIFE, L-I-F-E, stands for Local Involvement for Environment. Please tell me, Martha, a little more about your organization and your latest project.
The Life Center's been in Larchmont, Mamaroneck for about 22 years. We're primarily, our function is to educate the community and the school children about environmental issues.
And your latest project, I understand, has to do with lessening the waste stream in terms of plastics and other things that might not be recycled, or even if they were recycled, we could use less of.
Yes, well, what we try to teach the children more than recycling is to reduce the amount of garbage that they actually produce. With this Littlest Lunch Kit, we received grant money to be able to purchase this and offer it to the children for $4. For $4, they will get this reusable canvas bag that they can personalize. Inside the bag will be a 3-piece lunch kit from Rubbermaid. They can put their sandwich directly in here without aluminum foil or saran wrap. They can put their snack directly into here. And the juice box is eliminated by having this reusable, refillable juice bottle.
I see. And the parents will be notified through the mail about the availability of this kit?
Yes, and we will be in each one of the elementary schools the first week of school offering them. If children do not have the money to pay for these, the Life Center always offers scholarships.
Well, it sounds like a great environmental boon and an economic boon as well. So I want to thank you for coming, and I want you to come back again and tell us about another of your projects.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Joe. Parents will be notified by mail when the lunch bags are available. Bill?
The premium marsh is still clogged with a lot of stuff, but it shouldn't be long before it's dredged now. For the latest, here's Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Julie O'Clair.
The premium marsh dredging project in Mamaroneck may soon be underway. The town administrator, Stephen Altieri, said that Mamaroneck received a state grant for $619,000 and that the town will begin accepting bids for the project on August 17th. The only bid for the project last fall was made by Harbor Clean Incorporated. However, the bid was $71,000 over budget. Town officials are concerned that the bid on August 17th may exceed the budget once again. Altieri is optimistic nonetheless. The dredging project is vital to the coastal marine environment because the 65-acre marsh is not only the home and spawning ground for hundreds of species of marine life, but is also the starting point for Long Island Sound's food chain. According to a memo from Altieri to the town board, if all goes as planned, the project will begin in October and end in January. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Julie O'Clair.
A one-man crusade underway in Larchmont. Our newest reporter on Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, Glenna Gray, tells us more about it.
Telephone poles offer telephone service. Trees offer beauty and our health. These structures are not for posting signs. Posting signs on public property is illegal in the village of Larchmont. You can be fined up to $250 if you violate the law. If you wish to have a tag sale, you must obtain a permit for a nominal fee of $5. This permit allows you to post the sign on your own property for the sale's duration. Mayor Louis states, things that are acceptable in other communities just aren't acceptable here. So please post no placards which are prohibited. Please pay for your permits.
Thanks, Glenna, and welcome aboard. Bill?
Kids at Camp and another episode in her series on the Happy Camper. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Jamie Stein with her latest interview.
Welcome back to another camp segment. I'm Jamie Stein, and I'm here to talk about the Village of Mamaroneck Day Camp with Director Marge Wilson, to my right, Angie DeFiore, the supervisor, one of the supervisors, and two happy campers, Samantha and Alex. Let me start with Marge. Marge, the director. Can you please tell me what your job consists of, what you guys do?
Sure. Basically, we've got a nicely 6 rules program where we offer physical education, music and drama, arts and crafts, swimming at Saxon Woods Pool, and then we have all different various days. We have a Crazy Hat Day, a Wacky T-shirt Day, we have Camp Olympics, which we just finished. We have a Camp Carnival coming up, we have a camp show, which I'm sure Sam will talk about.
Now, Anne, you are a supervisor. Can you explain what group or what exactly you do?
I'm 3rd and 4th grade level supervisor. I go to the pool with them. I make sure everything goes well at the pool. I go on trips with the campers, and I'm basically in charge of the 3rd and 4th grade children and counselors.
What about you? What about you, Alex? What do you like to do?
Sports, kickball, and
Nick has this thing where you score up these points, and if you beat the guy who has the most points, then you get all kinds of prizes. Then you get prizes until someone beats you.
So what are your activities?
Well, Marge had said that we had physical education and we had music and drama, arts and crafts.
What's your favorite
activity? Well, music and drama.
And she's mentioned something about a camp show. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, we have a camp show every year. The whole camp has like little skits, like the first grade boys, the first grade girls, and then the 6th and 7th grade girls.
So it's a play. Well, that's terrific. I can't believe my time is up, but thanks for watching us and have a great summer. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Jamie Stein.
And that's it for another edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. And in case you missed any portion of this area news program, you can see it again any weekday morning, Monday through Saturday at 10 a.m. or also Monday through Friday nights at 7 p.m. and again at midnight.
You could catch this local news program right after you watch national news with Rather, Brokaw, or Jennings.
By the way, if we look a little better this week, it's all due to a great work of our new makeup artists, Rita and Guy, from Aphrodisiac Cosmetics in Rye. And making some of us look good was no piece of cake, or pancake in this case. Bill?
Ooh. And this reminder, this news program is a volunteer effort, and it's a fun community activity. If you'd like to find out more about it or see how we do things to get this program on the air, why not drop by on a Thursday night in the LMC-TV studios. We're in the Palmer Avenue unit of Mamaroneck High School, just up the stairs across from Walter Hot Dogs. And we try to get things started around 7:30 Thursday night, so stop by.
Thanks for watching Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Roger Nora.
And I'm Bill Littauer. We'll see you again next time right here on LMC TV Channel 36. Have a great week.